Madden 23 ratings for tight ends and wide receivers have been revealed. And speaking of tight ends, we've got some new opinions coming from two subject matter experts on the topic of Rob Gronkowski. James Yarcho is going to be sad that he missed this one. Let's go.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bucs Nation, and welcome to the Locked On Bucs Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And we thank you for making us your first listen or your first view every single day. I'm David Harrison, writer for Sports Illustrated's BucsGameDay.com. My co-host is James Yarcho, the deputy editor of SB Nation's BucsNation.com. He is not here for this episode, but when we aren't here, you can find us on Twitter at JYarcho_Bucs. I am at DHarrison82, and the show is at Locked On Bucs. Thanks again for making us your first listen or your first view of the day. Madden 23, the upcoming installation of the classic EA Sports NFL franchise simulation game, it's supposed to be a simulation game, is set to come out pretty soon here on the horizon. And starting on Monday, the Madden ratings for this year, at least the release ratings, again, they're updated every week for franchise mode players, stuff like that. But the initial release ratings have started to be released, with EA Sports revealing the tight end and wide receiver ratings on Monday. So let's take a look first at the tight ends, and we're going to start with the top 10 tight ends, again, according to EA Sports Madden NFL game for Madden 23. Coming in at the top of the list, you have Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs, rated as a 98 overall at release. George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers comes in the second spot, rated 97th overall. Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens is the third tight end with a 93 overall rating. 91 overall rating goes to Darren Waller of the Las Vegas Raiders in the fourth spot. And then in the fifth spot, TJ Hockenson of the Detroit Lions gets an 89 overall ranking, while Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons gets an 87 for the sixth position. Number 7th overall is Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins. He comes in at 86. Meanwhile, Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles comes in 8th with an overall rating of 85. Hunter Henry is 9th for the New England Patriots with an overall rating of 84. And then tied with an overall rating of 84 is Zach Ertz of the Arizona Cardinals, rounding out the top 10. So when you look at that first list, first of all, a lot of talented tight ends here in the National Football League. So looking at the list here again, these are the initial release ratings for the Madden 23 video game set to come out for the tight ends. I don't know if you have a whole lot of surprises here. Maybe some people have Mark Andrews rated lower than Darren Waller. TJ Hockenson, certainly a popular name. Kyle Pitts, we know his athleticism is very popular. Maybe Zach Ertz still being up there in the top 10 after all these years is a little bit of a surprise to some folks. But let's move over now to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers specifically and their ratings. According to, again, Madden 23, the release ratings revealed on Monday. Cameron Brate, your tight end, number 1 with the retirement of Mr. Rob Gronkowski, comes in at a 73 overall. So you see kind of a far off, I think 33rd or 34th overall among all NFL tight ends, again, in the release ratings for Madden 23. Cade Otton, the rookie, expected to give Cam Brate a run for his money and a push for the starting job once he's completely healthy and up to speed. But according to Madden, a 6-point difference in the overall ratings. Cade Otton coming in at 67 overall. Kieft coming in at 62 overall. And then Codey McElroy with a 57. And then long snapper Zach Triner gets a 26 overall rating as a tight end in Madden. Of course, that is also a yearly tradition. Long snapper does not matter in the Madden video game series. So long snappers get the tight end treatment. They get put in there. They get a very low rating. And most likely, if you're like me, they are the first player that you release from your franchise roster when you're making spaces for free agent signings, trades, what have you, whatever you're doing with your roster. So those are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight ends that are ranked according to the Madden 23 release rating set to come out here pretty soon. Not rated, but on the Buccaneers roster currently, Ben Beast, rookie out of Wisconsin River Falls, and J.J. Howland, rookie out of Yale. So those two tight ends on the Buccaneers roster as of right now. They will be at training camp fighting for roster spots, I suppose. Not a whole lot of roster spots to go around in this position, but they will be out there on the field when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers commence their or begin their training camp next week there in Tampa, Florida. So those are your Buccaneers tight ends and your top 10 tight ends. We also got the wide receiver rankings, so we're going to take a look at those next. But before we do that, guys, level with me. We've all been in a situation at some point in our lives when we're a little tight on cash. Maybe you can only afford to put a few gallons of gas in your tank, or you got another save the date card or birthday invitation. You're wondering how you're going to afford a gift to that event. That's where Dave can help. If you're living paycheck to paycheck or struggling to make ends meet, it can be really stressful when unexpected expenses come up. Now, Dave can help you get out of a pinch when you really need it. Hindsight is 2020 and you can't change the past, but what if you could get a little help from your future self? Maybe you'd ask to borrow a little bit of cash. Well, now you can do exactly that with Dave. Dave is the banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. That's more money to fill your tank, buy a wedding gift, or catch up on the bills. You can finally tackle those expenses that you've been stressing out about without any hangups. There's no interest and no credit check needed. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to get the financial relief they need with extra cash. So if you're in a pinch and you need some extra help, download Dave and think of it as a helping hand from future you. Download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve. Member FDIC. Future you will thank you. Thanks once again for making the Locked On Bucs podcast your first listen or your first view every single day. Which NFL stars move the betting lines the most? Locked On gives you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Available right now on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. Moving on with our Madden 23 rating reveals on Monday. Again, tight ends coming out and then wide receivers also coming out. So let's look at the top 10 wide receivers according to EA Sports and Madden 23. So again, these ratings coming at launch, and at launch, Davante Adams, former Green Bay Packers wide receiver, now Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver, reunited with former college teammate Derek Carr, the quarterback there for the Raiders, coming in number one on this list with a 99 overall rating. So part of that ever elusive 99 club that Madden has. Number two is Cooper Kupp from the Los Angeles Rams, coming with a 98 overall rating. Third is Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins, coming in with a 97 overall rating. Fourth is DeAndre Hopkins, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, with a 96 overall rating. Fifth is Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills with a 95 overall rating. Sixth place, Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings with a 93 overall rating. And then seventh overall is number 13, Mike Evans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver, with a 92 overall rating. And coming in eighth place, the ever so unhappy with anything that he's ever done behind Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers comes in with a 91 overall rating. Tied with Keenan is Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders with a 91 overall rating as well. And then Amari Cooper rounding out the top 10 there with the Cleveland Browns. He has a 90 overall rating. So some interesting things here in the top 10 of the wide receiver group. And first and foremost, Davante Adams being number one with a 99 overall. Look, I'm not going to argue Davante Adams and his talent level. Certainly a talented wide receiver, but far, I would go a little bit far and say that he doesn't do everything. But really, my biggest hiccup on here is Tyreek Hill. And look, no disrespect to Tyreek and what he's done with the Kansas City Chiefs, what he's done in his career, and what he might be able to do with the Miami Dolphins. But 97 overall, when you look at the depth of ratings and rating categories that the Madden video game is supposed to go through, you're supposed to go through releases, short routes, deep routes, medium, intermediate routes, hands, catching in traffic, spectacular catches, jumps, and all these things. Like, there are just some things that Tyreek Hill can't do. And on the far end of the disrespect scale, I basically say Tyreek Hill is just a small dude who's really fast. But he's obviously more talented than that, right? But let's be real here. You're not going to find Tyreek Hill mossing anybody, right? Nobody's going to get mossed by Tyreek Hill. So if Tyreek Hill can't be the fade guy, he can't be the jump ball guy, the 50-50 ball guy, how is he going to be a 97 overall versus some other guys who have a combination of speed, some quickness, but they also have the ability to go up and get the ball over certain types of defenders? You look at guys like Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, maybe not as fast as Tyreek Hill, but I think when you look at the total package of what a wide receiver needs to bring, Tyreek Hill, again, I mean, you're quick, you're fast, and that's pretty much what you are. Is you're a quick, fast guy. So if the ball gets in your hands, you're very dangerous because of those things. But again, if we've got a situation where we need a jump ball, a fade, a 50-50, you're not the guy that we're going to look for. So to me, Tyreek Hill, 97, a little too rich for my blood. Probably put him down there in the 92, maybe 93 range, behind the likes of Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. When you look at Mike Evans, Mike Evans has some similar knocks to his game, right? He's not a speed guy. He's not going to burn too many defenders. If he does, it's usually because they're sitting on the curl, the comeback, or the in or out breaking route fairly early, because Mike Evans really tends to win with his catch radius, his physicality, and his ability to put his body in between the defender and the ball. So again, Mike has some things that limit his game from a holistic standpoint, and from a Madden rating standpoint, they should also limit his rating because of those things. Because again, to get the 95 and above rating, I feel like you should be kind of a total package type of receiver, and there's just not a whole lot of those guys out there in the National Football League. So that's kind of my soapbox about how Madden ratings are actually created. Whether it matters or not, it really just depends on how big of a fan of the Madden franchise you really are. But that's your top 10 right there. The Buccaneers get one member, Mike Evans there, 7th overall. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver, 92 overall rating for release. Again, this is the release ratings. Madden will update them. I think last year there was an update actually on the day that the game dropped. So may not even be the ratings for very long after the game releases. And then week to week, as players do great things or terrible things or other things, these ratings will get adjusted. Now, you might be wondering where Chris Godwin is. Well, for the Buccaneers wide receivers, specifically, of course, again, you have Mike Evans here leading the way, 92 overall. Chris Godwin comes in at an 89, so not far off the top 10. If you go back there, Amari Cooper with the Cleveland Browns is in 10th place with a 90 overall rating. Chris Godwin comes in 89, so two top 12, top 15 type wide receivers for the Buccaneers on this year's Madden 23 to start with at the release. Russell Gage Jr., the new free agent acquisition, former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, 78 overall. Scotty Miller, Scotty Miller, 75 overall. Tyler Johnson, the guy that everybody's got their eyes on to see if he's going to deliver this year and stay on the roster, 73 overall. Breshad Perriman, the veteran, gets a 71 overall. Jalen Darden also a 71 overall as well. Vincent Smith, a 67 overall, and Cyril Grayson Jr., a 66 overall. Now, some interesting things about the wide receiver group here that I kind of put here in the parentheses. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see them in parentheses, and now I'll kind of go one by one. I looked at some specific parts of these ratings and kind of pulled out some things that were interesting to me. Mike Evans, 98 overall catch in traffic. So again, we talked about his ability to expand the catch radius. He has already a very wide catch radius because of that wingspan in his frame, but also his ability to fight for the ball, battle against defenders, high point, get those 50-50s, kind of, some of the things that Tyreek Hill can't do that we were just talking about. So a 98 catch in traffic for Mike Evans, by far the best on this roster. For Chris Godwin, he has a 93 catch. So his overall catch rating, just the basic hands, 93 overall, which is pretty good. And again, Tom Brady talking about Chris Godwin earlier in their time together, talking about he might have some of the best hands he's ever played with. Russell Gage Jr., the new wide receiver, expected to kind of come in here and help balance things out as Chris Godwin gets back up to speed and fully recovered from his ACL injury. A 93 jump rating for Russell Gage Jr. Scotty Miller, 94 speed. I don't know, maybe some people expected, a guy whose nickname is Scooter, maybe you're looking at 95, 96, might be splitting hairs here a little bit, but 94 speed, and if memory is correct, 93 acceleration. So he's definitely a guy who's going to get up and going for you on Madden 23 very, very quickly. Jalen Darden expected to compete for a return job, 75 return rating. It is the best of all Buccaneers wide receivers in their return rating. So according to Madden 23, he is the front runner for that return job. Vincent Smith, which is interesting, over 6 feet tall. I say he's like 6'3", 93 acceleration. He's a pretty fast guy. So he's going to be a taller, faster wide receiver for you on Madden. So you might be a guy that you target to be one of your kind of secret weapons. Now, going back to the Buccaneers tight ends, I did the same thing here for the tight ends. And what I found interesting, Cameron Brate's overall, he's at an 86 catch rating for his rating. So 73 overall, but 86 in the catching rating. So some of that familiarity, some of that comfortability and consistency from Cam that we've seen during his career. Cade Otton actually has the best change of direction of the group, a 67 overall change of direction. What was really surprising me, though, guys, Kieft, 79 agility, the most agile tight end in this room, according to Madden 23. We'll have to see if that transpires, if that comes to fruition during training camp. Kieft being the most agile tight end in the group. So there's your Madden ratings for wide receivers and tight ends, top 10s, and then the Buccaneers specifically. I think Edge comes out on Tuesday, so we'll continue to kind of chronicle those as those ratings come out. Not rated from the Buccaneers wide receiver group on the roster right now entering the training camp: Cameron Brate, rookie out of Coastal Carolina; Kalen Geiger, rookie out of Texas Tech; Jareth Stearns, rookie out of Western Kentucky; and Devin Tompkins, one of my wide receivers to watch at training camp, and the guy that Todd Bowles specified specifically he's looking forward to seeing at training camp, rookie out of Utah State, Devin Tompkins, also not on the release of the game. And could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that in order to be released or be part of the Madden roster for the video game, you have to be a member of the NFLPA. You have to have paid your dues and done all that. So there may be some delay in there for some of these undrafted guys, and that's why they're not necessarily in the game. But wide receivers, tight end ranking. Speaking of tight ends, Rob Gronkowski, if you thought the story was over, it's not, and it's not going to be for a while. Greg Auman tweeted on Monday, quote, sigh. So the story not going away anytime soon, no matter what James Yarcho says about it. We're going to talk more about Gronk here in a moment. We're going to do so thanks to the people who invented Healthy and Tasty, because they're bringing you their latest gift for your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given you the coconut brownie chunk puff treatment. That's right. The coconut brownie chunk Built bar flavor you love is in a delicious, chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. Plus, they're good for you. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and so delicious. Coconut brownie chunk puffs are only here for a limited time. So go to Built.com right now and make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. All Built bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. The best part about Built Puffs is, of course, they taste amazing, but you can enjoy them guilt-free because they're actually good for you. They're the perfect treat, perfect when you've got a craving, you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, or if you need a quick, healthy snack. They are an excellent source of protein. Delicious coconut, rich, sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Go to Built.com right now to order your box of coconut brownie chunk Built Puffs today. And on Monday, I got a new sample box of some of the upcoming products you're going to enjoy what's to come from Built.com. Head there now. Use the promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off of that order. Again, this promo code LOCK15 at Built.com. Wrapping things up here on this episode of the Locked On Bucs podcast. Like I said before the break, we've got some new developments on Rob Gronkowski. At least we got some new opinions on Rob Gronkowski. The first one coming from Peter King, the legendary sports columnist, journalist, been in the business for forever. Sports Illustrated fame, now writes for NBC Sports. He came back from vacation and wrote his Football Morning in America column. And one part of that column, he has a kind of, and it's called an I think category of that column. Think SR's Fab Five, but much longer and a lot more categories here from Mr. King. And one of the items in his I think category of this recent column was number 4. I think Rob Gronkowski plays again. That is a quote. Quote, I think Rob Gronkowski plays again. Again, Peter King, NBC Sports Football Morning in America column. This from his column dated July 18th, 2022. So Monday's column upon his return from his vacation. So Peter King, look, a guy who has been covering this game, covering the athletes that play this game a lot longer than James and I have, doesn't expand. Like that's it, guys. I think Rob Gronkowski plays again. That is the quote. There's no explanation there. But Peter King, not a guy to just kind of throw willy-nilly things out there into the atmosphere. So you kind of almost wonder if maybe he's got some, he's getting this from somewhere. Maybe he's getting this from a source that's close to the situation. But there is a source close to Rob Gronkowski, guys, who says that she does not believe Gronk is done playing. Of course, she doesn't call him Gronk. She calls him Rob, because she is Rob Gronkowski's girlfriend, Camille Kostek. And recently on a video shot by Sports Illustrated Swimsuit.com, I believe that's the website, she was basically asked, is Gronk actually done playing football? And she replied, quote, I'm an honest lady, and honestly, in my heart, I don't feel like this one is a forever one. So I think maybe he'll come back again. I feel like him and Tom are just having fun, like retired, not retired, retired, not retired, end quote. And the funny, if you go watch the video, it's funny because Camilla, she starts, it's kind of like the flower with the I love you, or he loves me, she loves me not, he loves me not, whatever. She starts picking off the petals. Like basically Rob and Tom are just toying with everybody out here as we go back and forth and talk about this. And again, Evan Klosky of WTSP, 10 Tampa Bay, has not accepted defeat on the idea that Rob Gronkowski will return. I have not accepted defeat that Rob Gronkowski will return this season. James Yarcho is 100% sold that Rob Gronkowski is not coming back. Why? Because Gronk said so himself. Well, so did Tom, and we'll believe it when we see it or don't see it. And at least we know that Rob and his girlfriend is on our side, Peter King, also believing that Rob Gronkowski may not be done. So some final information there. Not the end of this story. Again, Greg Allman tweeting sigh when he saw this latest development here. Look, it's a story that won't go away, guys, because everybody wants to know what Gronk is actually thinking, what he's actually going to do. Look, some fans have even pointed out, we've had some comments in the YouTube channel, and I've seen it on social media as well. The Buccaneers haven't spent that money yet. So, I mean, the salary cap space is still there for him to come back. And just like Gronk, James and I will be back. Well, James will be back anyway on Wednesday with Evan Klosky of WTSP 10 Tampa Bay, perhaps to get his reactions to Peter King saying that he thinks Gronk isn't done, and to Gronk's own girlfriend saying that she doesn't think he's done. In the meantime, we thank you for making the Locked On Bucs podcast your first listener, your first view of the day. Now make your second listener view, the Locked On NFL podcast. Our national NFL experts and insiders keep fans dialed in with the biggest stories and the latest news from around the league, because an offseason doesn't equal a break in the action. We will be back again, James, tomorrow with Evan. I will be back on Thursday, and then James and I will wrap up the week on Friday. We will unpause our player previews for training camp, our 3 players to watch. In the meantime, if you got questions or topics you want us to discuss, send them in to lockedonbuckspodcast@gmail.com, or call them in and be a part of the show just by dialing 813-444-5841. For James Yarcho, I'm David Harrison. Until we speak again, make sure you're checking out everything we're writing at bucksnation.com and at bucksgameday.com. Find us on Twitter. I am at dharrison82. James is at jarco_bucks, and the show is at Locked On Bucs. If you're out and about, please be safe, be kind to one another, wash your hands, fire the cannons, and thank you for joining us right here at Locked On Bucs.